All right, I think I need to clarify something. You brought up about the department. This resolution that we passed only has to do with national. We urge you at the department level to adopt your own policy on how many people you can have on your department board. What we did today had nothing to do with your department or anything else. It was a national policy. We're talking about our national board only. You can adopt what you want in your department. You may allow 4 elected officers in your department. That is up to you, your departments. What we did today was our national policy for the national board. I'm not clear apparently on that.
You're clear.
You're clear. Okay. So you at the department level, if you think that's going to hinder you from getting people to run for office, you don't have to have anything in place at your department if you don't want to. But it's your department level to do that. What we did today just had to do with the national board.
Is that it, Jim?
That's it for me.
All right, George, since George was absent for a minute, he can give his report and committee things.
I'd like to appreciate everybody coming to National Convention. It's always great to see you guys come here. Wish we could get more people here. The things I'm going to go over are some of the stuff that I went over yesterday, so some of those people that did not get here can kind of go over some of the stuff that we did in the meeting yesterday. We sit right now with 125 chapters, 10 departments. Writers, we're showing 2,245 actual writers, 334 supporters, with 113, we're not going to get to this point, 113 of those that are in our matrix, we have no idea where they fit in. Okay, so when we're sending out the matrix, okay, and the secretary's going through it, it not only messes up our paperwork for the membership side, because we don't know where to classify those 113 people that are blank. We don't know if they're a supporter or writer because they haven't filled in. It also screws up the finance officer's budget system because with that, some of that money is actually set into everything from the death benefit and stuff like that, to where we know how much to give per member into those. So if we don't have the accurate numbers, it messes up the whole thing. So what me and Karen talked about was a simple fact is if your DRF comes back and it is not completely filled out, it will be kicked back to the department, and it's their responsibility. It will not be valid or validated until we receive a full filled out. That's not counting if you get a new member and he doesn't have a card yet. What we recommend in that space, please do not leave it blank. Type in new member. Okay. Once the next following year, because of some of the auxiliary that was brought up in the meeting, is they may not get their membership number until the following year, which is fine. But on the next following year, if that's still blank, and she checks that, because we will keep that on the past matrix system, we're going to kick it back to you. Okay? They have to have a number. They have to be able to validate with parent organizations whether or not you are a current and good standing member with your parent organization. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. Right now we have 11 folded chapters. We established 14 new ones this year, which shows that we are making a difference. We're making a growth out there. In mid-year, we came up with a program called Quality Chapters as far as getting a patch made for recruitment under the Recruiter of the Year. That's at your chapter level. It could be also at your department level. So if you guys are out there doing work, that will be based through nationals, not the quartermaster. So it keeps from somebody just going out and getting a pack and say, hey, I'm the Recruiter of the Year. No, it's not. It will also have the year date on it. The next upcoming, whoever it may be, first vice, will be tasked with that job as well. I think it's a good incentive plan. We used to either use stuff like that, a lot of people have the challenge coins, they either went out and bought their own. I know some departments still use them, they're still a great tool, but I think this, at least, they can wear it proud. And that was the, opinion on the, mid-year floor. To go forward with that, we will start that, next year, starting after, just put it down. Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah.
But, wow. Our group. All right, going into the last and final part, the revals that we did not receive this year, there's quite a few of them. So what I'm gonna ask from the body is a 30-day extension, if you guys agree with it, to allow the board here to work with the departments and the non-department chapters to get those back in. My feeling, okay, we're about growth. If I go ahead and cancel those charters at this point in time, what are we saying to them? That they just don't matter. It's harder to get them back than having you go to them and say, hey, maybe the paperwork got lost, maybe they just forgot. We would rather try to work with those individuals, get them revalidated, get them in. They still need to pay this year's dues. Okay? So with that,
Mr. President, I have a question. Are you in line discussion, George?
I just got a statement here. As far as I'm concerned, we ought to revocate these chapters because after revocation, they've got 12 months to get their charter back. You know what I mean? They have 12 months from the day it's revocated to get it back. But if they have from January to March, and here we are in August, and they ain't got it done, to hell, I want to give them another 30 days for it.
Exactly.
One more here, George. Kevin, I recognize you.
Alabama, Ohio, 1776. I'd like to make a motion that we do that 30 days. In fact, we just passed a resolution to extend that time period to 30 days for the membership. And I know the same issue's been going on. We've got a lot of chapters that haven't got things in. I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, well, hold your motion until the discussion.
Okay, you're talking rebound.
just rebound.
Okay, I'm sorry. Misunderstood.
Yep, it was just on the rebounds.
Okay, revocation of DRF, so that's what I'm getting at.
Sorry, maybe I did say you're
All right.
but it's,
When you're ready, we have one motion already. It's gonna hold up till you're done.
yes, thank you.
Okay, hold your motion, okay, brother? We got your motion, but he's not gonna be done yet.
I think that's real.
Okay.
I pretty much got the point across. It's basically just a, like I said, motion on the rebound. Extend 30 days.
Stand up and state your name again.
Al Manway, chapter 1776, Ohio.
Okay, so we had that's our first, and you got a second?
Second.
Second from Joker,
Just for this year.
just for the rebound, for this year.
And like I said, with that, they still have to make sure that everything's in. So, a lot.
Is this open for discussion right now?
Yeah,
Well, we have our two motions.
we're at discussion right now because we have a first and a second, correct?
Kevin, New York, are these new chapters?
No.
These are chapters that know that revalidations are due on a particular date?
Yes.
So, it's still, with revalidation, still what President Cox just said, still should be, if you're gonna sit here and suspend or revoke, they have 12 months to make right. What you're asking for is 30 days because they're abusing the system. They're abusing the system by not turning it in. Have you contacted these chapters to find out the reasons why they haven't reval?
No, I have not had a chance yet, and that's what I would like.
And let me finish on that. That's the reason why I'm asking for the 30-day grace period, is that we could make that, it did not happen prior to convention. some of that falls on us, and to me, that's why I'm not willing to penalize them yet, because they didn't get that secondary response.
I'm not trying to be a hard ass, but if 30 days, fine this year, but we have unified constitution and bylaws, we follow rules, and if everybody follows the rules as a unified organization, you can't, you know, if it is a national problem and you're behind, I get it. But chapters know, and you too. So let's keep within our guidelines.
You're talking 26.
26.
That's why
So I'm gonna walk around.
I'm not treading this lightly, it's 26. We've never had 26, and that's why I'm trying to say, do we wanna look at revocating 26?
Can you specifically tell them you're on probation for 30 days and just?
They should already be on suspension with your department.
Because it honestly, with all the elections and everything going on everywhere, they may have thought that it was already sent in, or that somebody else sent it in and it hadn't. And I understand what you're saying, they should have known, but it may be a miscommunication.
Exactly.
So if they get a letter saying, you're on probation for 30 days, after that 30 days, you will
Or
be
revocation.
taken out.
Yep, you're right.
Couple more, guys.
That's what that's, yeah, motion is.
Yeah, I'm gonna just, my name's Jim.
Hold up, we got a discussion.
I come from a small post. We had sons that would turn around and delay on paying their dues every year. So what we did is said, okay, instead of your $25, after after January 31st, you're gonna pay $35. Next thing you know, they all bucked up and paid their $25. You didn't notify these posts about the revalidation. Maybe you should turn around and notify them, so you have 30 days to revalidate. If not, every month after that, you will be fined $100. And see if they get revalidation in that way. That way, look, we got 30 days to get revalidated, but we gotta pay $100 for every month we're out.
We at Nationals cannot penalize them any more than what's already written in the Constitution bylaws. There's already fines in place, and I can't supersede that, otherwise I'm going against the Constitution bylaw.
Council Moore.
Street Reporter 2, there is a precedent for this, on, giving a 30-day grace. 2012, there was an issue, and, there was a motion on the floor to allow the 30 days to be able to get a bunch of people revalidated. So it's not like it's gonna be the first time this is done. There's been already been a precedent for this in the past.
And what I'll do is I'll read these off, and the departments can write them down. That way, at least they know what they're looking for, they can go back, they can communicate with me and Karen, and make sure that we get this straightened out as fast as possible.
Also, it could be that it came in an email and I didn't get it, or it got lost, but I want that time to look and make sure that I did not get it already. Especially if they tell me they did, and I really gotta do some research.
Okay, end of discussion. George, call for your vote.
I'm just, well,
You
I'm
got,
gonna read those off.
two
before I get
motions
to
on
it.
it.
Yep.
30-day grace.
Yep. Arizona 770, Florida 14, 20, 42, 447, and 7467. Indiana 33, Mass 12, Mass 32, Ohio 43, Michigan 23, 57, 2273, 4250, New York, 1, 8, 48, 11, or 111, 245, 897, and 2000. PA 172, PA 187, Texas 23. All right, I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Like I said, that will be a 30-day, it will be sent out directly after convention, electronically, so we have a record of when the actual date and time that it was sent out. That 30-day occurrence will happen exactly on the 30th day. After the 30th day, revocation will go into full effect.
I didn't believe you were, I'm not the president. I just get my hands chewed because I represent.
Like I said, knowledge is power, you know, people, so, you know, finding out, even though you're not sitting on that, you should be asking your head chairs and stuff, where are we at? Because it affects not just us up here, it affects everybody at home, so.
Is this just for the 2017 or is this?
2017.
Good.
Yep. Any questions for me? Seeing none, Mr. President, thank you.
Okay, motion to accept his report.
I'll make that motion.
President Kentucky, second, Gotti.
Any discussion? If none, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Everybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're gonna get Dan McDonald up here, so everybody settle in, get a glass of water, take your hats off, get comfortable. It's gonna be a while.
Yes, if you'd like to uncover, you may.
Stand up, Dan.
He took my step stool
I'd
away.
like to
Okay. Put a chair under it.
Oh, god damn.
Yeah.
What'd you sit last back on?
Straight through up.
Okay, yeah, unfortunately, I do have a lot to go through. John's we'll start off right where we started last year, 9/1/2016. Our bank accounts, we were sitting at 55,679.01. As of right now, we're at 67,174.86. We still have some of the stuff to pay for convention yet. Some of it's been taken care of already, but there's still some that we'll have to pay out. That's a difference of over $11,000. And for those who remember, we went into this year with a budget and a deficit. Okay, so a lot of times we set up that budget for the extreme. We never hit that extreme. You know, we're really good, and I'm sure you've heard it from all them. They don't get shit from me too damn often. Let's see. Last year we started a scholarship and death benefit. We only had 3 scholarships awards given out because that's all that was put in for. So there was 2,000 left from that gets rolled over into our death benefit because that's what was approved last year. Then any leftover from scholarships rolls over to the death benefit. Plus 5,000 that we started with last year. Plus there was 2,000 from the President's Choice last year that also rolled into it to get it started because we expected to get, you know, people sending stuff in. As of now, we've only had one person turn it in so far, so we've only paid out $200. So we still have $6,800 left from last year's death benefit fund. There's another $5,000 in the budget to go back in there this year. Let's see here. And with that, this year the death benefit was $200. We want to increase it to $250. So anybody that that gets turned in from after convention, going into next month, we'd go to $250 instead of $200. A couple months ago, we had an external audit done. I've been wanting to kind of get something done for a long time because, for one, I wanted to use it as a learning tool. Because, trust me, there's a lot of this stuff I still am learning with. We had the books from September of 14 all the way through August of 16 audited by a CPA, and a lot of it was a good eye opener. Our biggest issue has come with the fact that all of our national officers have credit cards now. So being able to track all the stuff, I didn't have the documents for tracking it all the way it needs to be tracked. I'll be able to show you what the document is that I'm looking at now. Is that one right there. So when somebody has a charge, they have to get paperwork and receipts sent to me. I'll track the date that the charge was made, what officer, the amount charged, the date that I got the receipt from them, the date that I received their travel and expense form from them, the description of what the expense was for, and then when I receive the credit card bill, I'll put the date in there as to when I've reconciled it with the credit card statement. This should resolve all those issues. As of now, it hasn't been getting tracked, other than looking at the credit card statements like, hey, yeah, that was that, you know, that's how it's been getting done so far, and that's not what we need to do. We need to be able to track every bit of it, and we're going to. That was the biggest thing with the audit. We had $5,000 in the budget for an audit. Well, most of you that have ever looked at getting an audit done, if you have a full audit done, $5,000 doesn't even touch it. We got all that done for $1,500. Okay. And not only that, when I complete the books for this year, I'm turning that one over to him, and we're gonna get it done for $500. And we're gonna do this every year. When it gets completed from that year, we'll turn it over to them, get it audited for $500. They'll be able to help us, you know, keep everything in line. Plus, whenever there's a new treasurer comes in, they'll know where they started was what it was, you know, instead of, okay, I see this, but is it right or not? You know, so, let's see here. Also with all the stuff from the audit, we have modified the travel expense policy quite a bit, and we also added in stuff pertaining to credit card usage. And also, in our travel expense policy, it states right in there that it clearly states anybody that's receiving any funds from their chapter, their post, their department, or anything else for their travel and expenses going to mid-year or convention, they're supposed to use that first. So we want to make sure that if somebody's getting that any additional funding, they are using that. I mean, we're not in this to get extra money to do stuff. It's just to help cover expenses to do this stuff. Finance committee. We met yesterday, and we have recommendations from the finance committee. For one, the scholarship fund, reducing it from $5,000 down to $3,000, which would be three $1,000 scholarships. The other $2,000, what we want to do with that is set up a member/supporter support fund. If we've got a member, whether it's a supporter or a rider, doesn't matter, they all pay dues to national, and there's something major going on where they need some help, either them or somebody else can file for it for them through the board. We would review it, we'd discuss it with the NEC, and we would be able to give out up to $500 to that individual. It's just another way for us to try and help the membership, is what we're looking at there. And any unused funds from it, we will roll over into the next year and just hopefully build it up. The fund will be controlled by the NEC. When we have a request brought to the NEB for a member in need, it will first be reviewed by the NEB and then brought to the NEC either on our conference call or by email. They'll discuss the merits of the request, and they distribute up to $500 per request per individual. That was one thing that came out of the finance committee. AMBET's organization project support. $2,500 in there for this year. We gave $1,000 to the commanders project, $500 for auxiliary, $500 for sons, $500 for juniors. With some of the other adjustments that we're doing in the budget, we took that all the way down to $500 total right now. We still want to try and support the whole organization, and we're going to use convention book and stuff like that to try and raise some additional funds to be able to help. We still want to be able to try and give $500 to the commanders project, because I mean that's the head of the organization and we should support that. But then we want to raise other money and have that split with the rest of the organization for the juniors, the sons, the auxiliary, and help support them as we always have. Okay, and also it was a recommendation from the finance committee to increase the death benefit from 200 to 250. The committee worked very hard on trying to get a budget that isn't a deficit, and we did. Here's the budget, and we made some major changes in it. This past year, we've made a lot of purchases for national riders. A couple laptops, we got a projector, we've got a portable printer, we've got a sound system. With all that already, we don't feel we need to have so much in the budget for office supplies. So we used to have $2,500 in there. I took it down to $1,500. And there's other stuff that we've reduced as well. The fall NEC, we don't really send anybody to that, so we took that out of the budget. But what we did put in there is $500 for somebody going and reviewing the setup for convention. Don Cox came out here and reviewed, and that's how we ended up with the setup that we have out here. You know, it's by him coming out when they were doing all the review and being able to get what we needed for it. So we did put that in there. And we did have $5,000 in the budget for the audit. I took that down to $500 because that's what it's going to cost us now. So then, with all that and looking at membership between members and supporters, right now the budget for next year is positive $80. Trust me, we were going through this. The committee worked really, really hard yesterday trying to pick at it as much as we could, and trust me, I did a lot of it before we got here. I was picking away at a lot of it. And with the committee's help, we reduced it down even more, because we were still in a deficit when I came out here to the convention with what I had set up. So, but as of now, with the budget there, it's $80 positive. I don't expect to spend everything that's in this budget, because we usually don't. But it's good to start with a positive.
You just found out the committee could pinch just as well as you could.
I got an awesome committee. I will have to say though, I miss my co-chair, Beverly Manos. She's been on the committee as long as I've been in office. Wish she was there. Fundraising. We always seem to run into trouble with fundraising. I get it just as much as everybody else does. I mean, you got your chapter wanting to do it, you got the post that wants to do it, you want the department that wants to do it, and then you've got somebody over here who's got cancer, we're gonna raise some money for that, we're gonna do it for you. Last thing you wanna do is hear National saying, hey, we want you to do our fundraiser. We're doing away with the calendars. We're not gonna do them anymore. That's our proposal. The only fundraiser at this time will be the gun raffle. I want to get us to the point where we don't even have to do that. But I don't want to raise dues to get there. Last time we raised dues was back in 2012. We don't want to do it again. We want to stay where we're at, but we want to be able to function. So we're doing away with that, and in the budget, which whoever ends up being new second vice is gonna have to work real hard with that gun raffle, because he's got to raise $5,000 with it, because that's the budget. No pressure. So, and then, you know, if something comes up where we need additional funding or anything, okay, we could do a little fundraiser or something. But also with the gun raffle, I want to get it started a lot earlier. You know, get something figured out, start getting tickets out this fall, start getting sold all the way up till convention. Will turn out a whole lot better than what we did at convention this year for gun raffle anyway. So the next thing is recommendations from the audit committee, and I will let Kevin speak on that. He's the chair for the audit.
Sure.
And then I can tell you what I've got wrote down too. But
John Duvall and Gunny helped me out with it. We found a few discrepancies, which I believe Dan put in his report. Our recommendations first were that descriptors be better describing, so it's easier for us to look through the books and track and know what it's going to. Cross-reference with the receipts, make it a little bit easier. Some of it to try to, what's the word, I'm trying to balance what he had to what he was showing on his spreadsheet. We were having some discrepancies. He worked on it last night. This morning, he and I sat down in the committee and found out exactly what he was doing. It's easier to sit here and take the register and cross-reference and then make sure that everything is balanced. But he says there's a new form that he's introducing. It's going to take a lot of that out and alleviate the issues. So whoever will do this audit next time, because I said the guys weren't going to have to do it again. So I'm going to have to pick somebody else, new commander. So everything is looking good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, that's pretty much what I've got wrote down here, that for one, better tracking with the receipts, you know, and accountability of getting receipts. And then right now I just do a monthly reconcile document. Well, if you try and match that with the monthly bank statement, the two balances aren't going to be the same. The monthly bank statement matches what I have in the town register. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a running register for the whole year in that reconcile document. And then I'll highlight where it was when I balanced it that month. And then I'll just put the date there. So that way now you can look at that bank statement, okay, it was reconciled with this amount on this date, and you can look at the other form and it'll match. Where right now it doesn't match. It's all there, but it just, those documents don't match. And then, yeah, that was two changes that we're gonna work on from that. The external audit, I talked about the changes for travel expense policy, which we'll go through here, and also adding in credit card usage into that policy. Last year we talked about that the officers would do their own expense forms and stuff. I was still trying to do them. That ain't happening anymore. That was one of the biggest things that I was nailed on in that external audit, is a lot of the stuff didn't match, because I may get a receipt from the hotel in the beginning and it may not be the exact same at the end because of taxes or whatever. So I'm writing it all up for one thing, but that's not what it ended up being, so the stuff doesn't match. Now, starting this convention already, prior to coming here, everybody's doing their own. When they're all done with it, they'll turn it into me. And then I'll match it up with the credit card statement, and go with it from there. And the other stuff I already covered, creating a tracking document for the credit card charges, having a yearly reconcile document, that also came out of the external audit, recommendations from him as well. I'll go to the travel expense policy. I don't know if you can read it, probably not, but what's in yellow is changes. Anything that's got a strike through it is to take it out. The heading up here, I'm just changing, it said AMVETS Riders National. I'm just switching to say National AMVETS Riders. And instead of it saying officer travel expense policy, it'll just say travel expense policy. In the first paragraph there, adding in end documentation, so that way we're getting all the paperwork that we need for it. We're going down under elected officers. Right now we try and evaluate between travel and air as to which one is less, and then I'm printing off all these sheets from airfare and everything else, and what we want to do is, if it exceeds $600, the officer needs to prove which one is less. So they're going to have to go in, if they're going to drive or ride, then they're going to have to go in to book an air flight, get the rates, print that paper off and turn it in with their forms to show me, hey, it's over $600. If it's less than $600, then we don't worry about it, you know, because if you figure airfare, if your travel is less than $600, then we don't worry about it. If the travel for mileage is more, then I want to know that that's cheaper than what the airfare would be, because that's what they get reimbursed. And then the other thing I changed was on lodging. Shall be paid at the full rate of I put in 1 or 2 bed regular room. So that way if you get a room with 2 queens or 2 doubles instead of a king, sometimes there's a difference in rates on those 2 different styles of rooms. This doesn't include going and getting a damn 2-room suite. The only one that's authorized that is the president. But this is just kind of covers if they get 2 beds instead of just 1 bed because of the different rate. But it still has to be just a regular room, not a suite or nothing like that. Convention in mid-year. Just like mid-year this year was in Missouri. There's 2 officers that didn't stay at the hotel because they lived close enough. So I want to have it right in here in the policy. If mileage is less than 100 miles round trip, the individual would have to get pre-approval from the board to get a hotel reimbursed. Other than that, if they live within that distance, they're not reimbursed for a hotel. They'll travel back and forth, or if they get a hotel, they get it on their own. Unless there's some extenuating circumstances and they bring it up to the board and the board approves it, okay. But other than that, if they live real close to convention or mid-year, then they can sleep in their own bed.
Good thing your wife
Under miscellaneous expenses, shall be paid at actual cost per expense as long as receipts are provided with proper documentation and approval. Meaning it's got to be approved as well as just turning stuff in without getting approval for it. And I'm not putting this stuff in because that's what's been taking place. We're just trying to develop a policy that covers everything. Question?
Yeah, did that include the car rental?
Yeah. that's in there. I'm trying to remember whether that's new or not. Yeah, under National President, Rider National President may rent a vehicle when needed while attending authorized functions for national riders with approval of the NEB.
That's just the president.
What's that?
That's just the president.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we're not gonna go get car rentals for everybody. As it was mid-year last year when everybody came up to Iowa, I gave them our spare car to use while he was up there. It's like, here, just use ours. We're not gonna get you around. So, you know, scooter road. Yeah. And then down here, expenses shall be listed on official AMVETS riders. It used to just say expense report. I added in travel and/or expense report because we do have two different forms. One is for expenses, the other one's for travel expenses itself. Now, for turning in the receipts and stuff, expense report and submitted to National Riders Treasurer no later than 10th of the month immediately following the expenditure. So now, if they charge something right now, they've got until the 10th of September to get those receipts to me. So that way, when I get the credit card statement in the mail, I've got all the receipts and paperwork to be able to match it up and make sure it's all correct before I pay the bill for the credit card. And speaking of paying the bills for the credit card, on the credit card we get reward dollars, and from them reward dollars we cashed in $400 of it before coming to convention. And the original thought was we were going to do 4 $25 gift cards for door prizes, and then the other 300 I was thinking, okay, food and all that stuff. We only spent like $79 for all the food that we provided yesterday and today. So we still have a card with $211 and some 14 cents or something.
I'll take that.
Well,
It's gonna go to somebody.
all registered individuals here, whether you're a delegate, an alternate, or not, if you are registered at the convention, you're in the drawing. That 211 is gonna be one prize, and then there's still 4 $25 ones after that.
Are you giving away tickets?
Yes. He'll be taking care of that. So, and that's where we will need to know if there's people that are in here that are not registered, because if you're not registered, you're not in the drawing. And no, you can't come up and pay the $25 now to get registered. All expense reports that exceed $100 must be signed by a combination of 2 National Riders officers. We put that exceed $100, so now if somebody goes and they just spend $25 on something, instead of having to get 2 individual signatures and approval, they'll have the approval ahead of time before they do the purchase, and then they just send the stuff to me and I can sign off and just have one signature on it, as long as it does not exceed $100. And if it does exceed, then it still has to have the 2 signatures. And to get the second signature, sometimes it's by email. But if it is, then that's got to be attached to that document and put in the book. So we've got record of it. AMVETS Riders credit card charges. All expenses charged to the AMVETS Riders credit card must have supporting documentation to be valid. All national officers are required to submit receipts to National Riders Treasurer by the 10th day of the following month the expense is incurred. For example, charge is 4/17/2017. Receipt must be turned in by 5/10/17. National Riders Treasurer is responsible for ensuring all credit card charges have supporting receipts. Non-travel expenses. All official AMVETS Riders expense reports must be completed for all non-travel expenses in the month incurred and submitted in accordance with to timeline stated above. Multiple expenses within the same month may be recorded on one report. Our expense reports, so let's say the secretary one day he's gotta go get some paper and then, oh shit, I forgot I gotta get some paper clips or whatever. Instead of having to do a report for every single one, they can put the stuff all on one as long as it's within that calendar month and then turn it in. Less paperwork for me, less for them. Travel expenses, an official AMVETS rider's expense report must be completed and submitted to the National Rider's Treasurer in accordance with timelines stated above. Expenses on report must indicate whether credit card or cash was utilized, and all expenses must have receipts. Any officer not following proper procedure for turning in receipts and documentation shall fall under the 3-strike rule. After 3 times of not turning in proper paperwork, their credit card will be revoked and will have to pay for all expenses on their own and wait to get reimbursed. Non-credit card charges follows the same policies as AMVETS Rider's credit card in order to be reimbursed. Under travel and lodging arrangements and payment, previously it stated each individual is responsible for making their own travel and lodging arrangements unless the National Rider's Treasurer has agreed to schedule it for them. I no longer schedule any of that for them. I can't. They're doing it. They've got their own card. They'll schedule it. They'll put it on their card and then submit the paperwork for it. So that part is coming out of the policy. Yeah, I bet you did. And then down at the bottom of it, I changed the dates and stuff. This is recommended from the Finance Committee yesterday, and I've got that date on there from that. And then we're gonna have you guys vote on it as well. As part of this, each National Rider's officer shall sign travel expense policy, and copy shall be filed with the Rider's National Secretary and Treasurer. So that way they receive this, they're signing off saying, yeah, I read it and I understand it, and I'll adhere to it.
You didn't bring up about, 3 times that they don't turn in stuff in.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yep,
sorry.
yep, no problem. That's okay. I'm sure there's some of the other paragraphs that other people didn't hear too. So anyways, that is all the changes to the travel expense policy. I do plan on having all this stuff that gets changed, put on the web, be accessible for everybody, to include the budget, travel expense policy, you know, so people can see what it is. Instead of printing a whole bunch of stuff off here, I figured I'd put it up on here, which has been kind of hard to read with having it on that wall, but we will make it available on the web though. So, first I will make a motion to approve the budget as written, and it was recommended by the Finance Committee as written.
Second.
Who seconded?
Sorry. Who had the first?
I did. I made the motion.
Second, State from Kentucky.
Okay, questions?
This is the budget.
Yes.
Who's that?
Streeter, Florida.
How many were there?
Streeter, Florida 2. So, last year you said you were gonna send us out the budget. When we talked at the last convention last year, you were gonna send out the budget to us. We didn't get it till for 9 months. We didn't get it till right before the mid-year rally. This year, I would like to make, at the appropriate time, after this thing, I'm gonna make a motion that you send out the budget to us, so we can actually see it.
We can't hear you, Vince.
We're sitting here in the back, and we can't really see what you had up there on the screen.
Did you hear the statement that I made right there at the end that this is gonna be on the web?
Oh, no, I didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
Okay, okay, just checking.
When?
And as soon as I have finalized, I'm gonna pass it over to, Kelly, and she'll get it up on the web.
Good.
Yeah. It won't be 9 months.
Okay.
Maybe 8.5, but.
Anyone?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. Somebody else has got to do the vote, right? Go. Because I wasn't made the motion. You're good? Good. Okay. Okay, call for a vote. All approve of accepting the budget as written? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next is the travel expense policy. I make a motion to accept travel expense policy as changed.
Second, Barb, Kentucky.
Questions? I'm sure you've probably already heard enough about it.
Well, sure,
Okay,
sir.
no questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now I make a motion to accept my report.
Motion, Kristen, Kentucky, second, Larry, Georgia.
Question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm done.
You got that agenda?
Yeah?
No, I had a piece of paper.
Oh, maybe I did.
That's right, Bob.
Here you go. Here. Yeah, grab it my stuff.
It's your digital copy.
There you go. Okay, now we're going into any old business. Is there any old business we'd like to discuss? Okay, not hearing any old business. Yeah, okay. Listen up.
I was just curious, Kristen from Kentucky, I was just curious if we could have a report on Mike Munoz and Preston.
Well, is all I know about Mike is he got a heart transplant. His medicine that helps him not reject it has caused his kidneys to fail. He's on dialysis and a lot of other things. They changed his medicine 2 or 3 times. I guess his legs are swollen, they look black, blue, whatever. He's not doing well. And Bev lost her job over this. And I asked all the department presidents on a phone call to get with their chapters if we got an address to try to help them out, because she's up there trying to help take care of her husband because they got him like in a Ronald McDonald type house next to the hospital. But they still have to pay the bills back home, you know, keep a roof over their head. It'd be nice if we could, chapters, you know, send a few bucks and help them out.
Kathy, yes.
Yeah, I did receive a very brief update yesterday, and it is, like John said, it's kind of up and down. They're trying to get his medications right. He has shown some progress, and then he kind of sets back, and then he shows some progress. He's now in the progressive mode again, but it's just a matter of time to see if the medications are working. Anyone out there, the department presidents know, but anyone out there, whether you're a department or not, if your chapter is interested in doing some little fundraiser or making a small donation or whatever they can do to help them, my number, my email, everything is on the website under National Officers on AmericanRidersNationals.org. And please contact me. I'd be more than happy to give you the address. They are living on the Mayo Clinic campus and will be for quite some time. So if anyone is you know, interested in something like that, contact me and I will privately give you that information.
So they sent you to the Mayo Clinic?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he's been in the Mayo Clinic. Yes, he has been in the Mayo Clinic. They're now living on campus.
Yeah,
Since we passed his financial report, we put that extra $2,000 aside for helping out a member, can we send some of that to him?
You can, we can.
You people can, but we can't.
Wait. What is the motion on the floor?
Nothing yet, I'm just asking the question.
Okay.
Can I make a motion?
You cannot.
Well, I cannot, but I'm.
Right. Barb, what's your motion?
I, Barbara Wagner from Post 61, Kentucky, would like to make a motion that we send them $1,000 out of the grievance fund that we've just started and to help them.
And second by Larry from Georgia. Any discussion?
Yes, I was understanding that it was a 500 cap,
Yes.
so we could only send.
She understands the 500 cap.
I was just gonna address that.
I rescind my motion.
Amended to 500.
Amend my motion to make it 500.
Okay, we have a first with an amended motion for 500 to Mouse, seconded by Larry from Georgia.
Okay, any discussion on it? $500 to Mouse and his family out of our.
Dan McDonald.
Seems that we have enough people to discuss and vote on it right now. I would prefer, instead of it going after that fund right now, we have quite a bit sitting in the death benefit. Let's take this donation out of there, instead of attacking the 2,000 we have in this other fund already.
How much is in that?
Like 13,000?
Is there a cap on that?
Yeah.
Is there a cap on that?
No.
There's no cap on that.
One at a time, whoa!
What
Slow
that
roll,
fund
everybody.
is the death benefit, okay, so we're taking it out of that death benefit fund. So that's why there's no cap on what we can take. If the body says, hey, we vote to take some funds from that fund and put it over here, we can do that.
You can transfer
Barb?
money from line item to line item.
I'm Barbara Wagner from Post 61, Kentucky. Amend my motion for it to come out of the grievance part and to take it out $1,000 out of the
Death benefit.
death benefits.
Okay, seconded by Larry from Georgia. Any discussion? I'm gonna get to every one of you. Okay? Hang on, Mike, hang on.
Richard Mann, 44, Department Judge Advocate. First of all,
Wyatt.
if you're gonna pull it out of your death benefit, we need to move that money and put it into, he's not dead. He's still alive, and we're gonna keep it that way. So let's keep it in good spirits, and let's go that way. If we pull from your death benefit, that hinders anybody else in this room or any of our chapter, people in the chapter level that dies, that pulls away from them. He's not dead. Pull it, just do the 500 and let's roll with it.
The 500 from where?
500 out of your beginning.
Mike from chapter 12, Georgia. 2 years ago, I came to this body asking for some funds for a veteran U.S. Marine who is now a member of our post and our riders. He got his new heart. He's riding to this day. This body gave $3,000, so I'm going to ask for $3,000. You did it once before. Let's give this young man a chance, fighting chance. Whether it comes out of the death benefit or not, who gives a shit? It's just a month. I'm sorry. I'll pay it. It doesn't matter where the money is. It's just, you say death benefit, okay, fine. 3 is 3, wherever you can take it from.
That's right.
It's just money. It's just.
Andy, you had something else?
We gotta wait for that.
Any more discussion? Okay, so, we have a motion to take out the money from your $13,000 fund of $1,000. We have another suggestion to take it 500 out the original, the grievance fund. And now we have an idea to take 3,000 out of the big fund. Well, I guess we need to discuss that.
Do we have a motion on the floor? We have a motion on the floor.
Mike, well, we got a motion for Barb, we got a motion for Mike. We're
One.
gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to go to one motion.
One at a time.
We're gonna have to go to one motion.
You're gonna have to answer your first one first.
Handle your first one
Unless they-
first.
unless
Okay,
they
we got a
regret-
motion to receipt.
Unless they
Wait a minute, discussion.
Draw the motion.
Don Fiore had his hand.
No, I was just saying, I was just trying to say, one, we gotta take care of that one motion.
Barb, we got a motion on the floor from Barb for $1,000.
Amend my motion to $3,000 as long as we got it, to Sandy. He doesn't have to know it come out of the debt benefit.
I'll second
It's just a donation from the national.
Who seconded? Jim said, I got two seconds from mine, was second.
Okay, I guess the motion's been amended, and been amended.
And we have discussion from Dan.
Now we got discussion from Dan. Let's move.
You know, I love Miles, okay, but he's getting funds from around this nation already, and he's received stuff from different chapters and everything else. And I fully understand the 3,000. My thought is we leave it at 1,000. We did help fund him last year as well, with President's Choice funding. You know, and I'd love to give him 30,000, you know, but I think we also need to make sure that we're not setting the precedence of saying, every time something like this comes up, we're gonna give him $3,000. You know, like I say, I'd love to give him 30,000, you know? I think we need to stick with 1,000.
Okay, we got discussion with Dan.
My personal thoughts, and I know I'm bored, I should be impartial, and I'm trying very hard to be. We gave a man who was not a member $3,000. He became a member. Mike Munoz has been a member of this organization and done more for this organization on every level of this organization than most people I know. If we have $13,000 in the bank, somewhere, sitting somewhere, who cares what it's on it, give this man $3,000.
Do a vote.
All right, call for the vote. Call for the vote. Motion right now is $3,000. It's been amended. Discussion's over. Everybody in favor of $3,000? Aye. Everybody opposed? It passed. Give the man his money.
It's not that I didn't want to give it to him, I do, but.
I know.
But, okay, now, any more new business? Any more old business? I guess we messed up here. Okay, new business. Any new business? Okay, at this time, according to this, I'm supposed to do awards. All right.
Can I do one real quick on new business?
Yeah.
And then you guys, it's quick and brief.
We're gonna be in here for a while.
Our past national presidents right now have a variance for their vest. It's ceremonial. To me, there's no other recognition for our parent organization to be able to tell who our past presidents are. Us as writers know exactly who they are. To me, it should not be a ceremonial vest. They've earned that title. They've done the years on the chairs. And to me, it would be an honor and privilege to make sure that they're wherever they want, when they want. Because like I said, that's the only way they're going to be able to tell for the parent organizations who our past presidents are. The sons, the auxiliary, all those ladies, the sons, they have covers. Our cover, we can't put anything on it other than the sabers. They don't know what our sabers mean. You know, they have actually wording and stuff on their hats that says they are past national president, commander, whatever. To me, I think they should be able to wear that wherever they want. But ceremonial. I want to take the ceremonial off and say they can wear it wherever, whenever, not just at conventions, not just at meetings.
Well,
If they
that's
want to
just
wear
Rob's
it,
choice.
but it says ceremonial. I just want to drop the ceremonial and say it's their best, they get to wear it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with calling it ceremony. You can wear it anytime.
Ceremonial means they can wear it anywhere they want.
Right.
Don't open up where it's 13%.
All right, let's go.
Give a variance to allow them to wear it already.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's just my opinion.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
Okay,
Put them on
folks,
hornet's nest if we go any further. Alright, let's get you.
15 minutes, take a leak, do whatever you gotta do, go play.